US President Joe Biden last week gave a bizarre speech flanked by soldiers in front of a danger red wall, declaring Donald Trump and his millions of supporters were almost like the enemy within.
But there's no question that the Republican Party today is dominated, driven, and intimidated by Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans. And that is a threat to this country. MAGA Republicans do not respect the Constitution. They do not believe in the rule of law. They do not recognize the will of the people. MAGA Republicans have made their choice. They embrace anger. They thrive on chaos. They live not in the light of truth, but in the shadow of lies.
Some commentators of the media left saw this as a declaration of war, in fact, of civil war, and even seemed to approve.
The speech last night to me sounded like a president delivering a wartime address.
Joining me is Sky News US correspondent Annalise Nielsen. Annalise, thanks for your time. Look, it seems to me offensive, false, dangerous, inflammatory for Biden to virtually declare tens of millions of Republicans in America as the enemy within. But I wonder if it's worked by making the subject yet again Donald Trump, who's bitten back and said that Biden's the enemy of the state.
Look, this was a bizarre speech, but on so many levels, just like you've laid out. And one of the really interesting things is, okay, we're going into the midterm elections. It's been the Labor Day long weekend. This is traditionally when the campaigning starts in earnest. And so it wasn't unexpected that we'd have something like a campaign launch for Biden. But the fact that he went for this when they have a lot of stuff going in their favour nonetheless. Polling had improved. His personal approval polling has improved. They've had some legislative wins. So they don't need to be going for this. They're choosing to do it anyway. And I know I get this a lot, especially from Australians, about how America is so divided. It's the most divided we've ever seen it. That's simply not true. We've seen America have an actual civil war. The country was torn apart during the civil rights movement, which of course was quite necessary on a lot of fronts. But this isn't necessarily what's happening at a level beyond the politics in Washington, D.C. There's an advantage to pushing the narrative that things are divided. I spend a lot of time out on the road in America, and I really don't feel like it's as divided as they like to make out. And so this is a political advantage for Biden to say, you've got this ultra right-wing fascist movement. They've been saying semi-fascist, which is really quite offensive. You've got more than 70 million Americans voted for Donald Trump. They're Republicans, most of them. Sure, there is a big Donald Trump support base, but a lot of the Donald Trump supporters I talk to say, yeah, look, if he was on the ballot, I'd vote for him again, but geez, I'd like to see what that Ron DeSantis could do, or they'd like to see what someone else could do. They're looking to the future, not the past, and this, I think, is a dangerous tactic in the end to start relitigating a really miserable 2 years for America when we could be looking what they can achieve.
But I think it's precisely for that reason that Biden is doing this, to cement support behind Donald Trump by trying to, attack him so personally, fill the whole news space with Donald Trump, Donald Trump, Donald Trump, so that people focus on him, and that energizes the Democrats' own base. I think it probably energizes their base more than it probably helps the Republicans win the next election. I wonder whether that's the plan. But do you think it's paying off?
Yeah, I think you're quite right with that, and I think it does work with his base. I think that would be quite effective. I don't think it's going to work in the long run, because what this does is just drive the opportunity for the right Republican to come up with a message of hope instead of a message of, oh, well, this has been so bad in the past, we need to go back to relitigate all of Trump's many grievances. So, yeah, I think it's definitely going to be a messy midterms, and it's leading up to a very messy 2024 election as well.
Well, one thing it's taking the focus off is the unbelievable failure Biden's had on the borders. They've had about 2 million illegal immigrants flooding across the Mexican border in just the past year. 2 million. And the governor of Texas, which is copying much of this invasion, so to speak, is now busing some of these illegal immigrants all the way up to Chicago, whose far-left mayor is not impressed. Here she is.
Shame on Governor Abbott. What he is doing is immoral, unpatriotic, and it defies the values of who we are as Americans.
Annalise, I would have thought a left-wing mayor would have welcomed the chance to give illegal immigrants a big cuddle in a home. What's going on here?
What's going on is homelessness is terrible. It's happening in DC and Chicago. And I know we're about to run out of time. I could go on this a lot more, but they don't want to deal with the reality of all the nice things about saying let everyone cross the border. When the reality is on your doorstep, it becomes a lot tougher, especially when you have to pay for it.
Well, okay. Well, share the pain, I think. If you don't want the borders shut, then share the pain. But apparently that doesn't work in Chicago. It's not the Chicago way. Annalise Nielsen, thank you so much for your time.